Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making this dog treat pouch. This is a really fun beginner project. It can be made for gifts, for friends, and the fabric of course is endless as far as customization. So I really hope that you enjoy this project, and let's get straight into it. Supplies that you'll need are two 8-inch by 4-inch pieces for your straps. Today I'm using this really fun ocean print. And then also a 7.5 by 7.5 squared piece for the front and the back. Today I'm going to do this ocean print for the front and back, but you can have a lot of fun with this. This is going to be a really good scrap buster if you've got a lot of fabric laying around. And then I'm also going to be using this PUL or polyurethane laminate for the interior. This is something I had left over. You don't have to use this. You can just use regular old cotton or any material that you want. The reason I'm choosing this PUL, which is a kind of a water resistant, waterproof fabric, is that some of the dog treats are kind of oily and really smelly, and for some reason that seeps through into the pouches that I've made that don't have this little bit of water resistant barrier. So that's just up to you. I really recommend this for a lot of projects. I really like it, and yeah, it's not that hard to find. You can usually find it at a Joann's or on Amazon, but I'll link a place down below where you guys can find this. So this is also 7.5 by 7.5, so you have your interior, you have your exterior, 7.5 by 7.5, 2 pieces, and then you have your straps, 8 inches by 4 inches across. So let's get started with the interior. And what you're going to want to do is just put these together. You'll notice there's a shiny side and there's kind of a matte side that is really rough. The shiny side is your interior. That's what you're going to see when you open up the pouch. So let's just look at this here. So when I open this up, see how it's shiny, and that's what I'm going to see. So we're going to put those facing together. And remember, it's 7.5 by 7.5 inch squared, so it doesn't matter how you flip it. And then I'm just going to put a pin through this. This PUL, I will go round and around with people who leave comments on my channel about, don't put a pin through it, now it's not, you know, it's going to leak. It's actually really forgiving, and that's why I like it so much. So I wouldn't like get crazy and put a bunch of pins. You can use Wonder Clips for this if you want, that's totally fine. So I'm just going to do this for good measure. I'm going to take this to the sewing machine. I guess I need to flip it this way for you guys because I'm upside down. So I'm going to take this to the sewing machine. This is going to be my opening, and so I'm going to back stitch, and I'm going to sew all the way down to the corner pivot, all the way down to the corner pivot, and then come back up and back stitch. I'm going to use a 3.0 stitch length and probably about a 1/2 inch seam allowance, but you guys can totally use whatever's most comfortable on your machine. Just remember that this end needs to be open. Okay, so now I've got the 3 sides sewn, and a good project always has tidiness, so we're going to cut off those strings. So now what I'm going to do is just flip this inside out like that, so it should look like this. So the shiny side should be on the outside, and then I'm just going to set this aside for later. Then I'm going to take my 2 body pieces of fabric, and you can decide which one you want for the front. That's not really important right at this second. It's just you want to put your right sides together. And put a pin in 3 of the sides. You don't have to do this if you're, experienced, you feel pretty comfortable with it, but for the sakes of the video, we're going to pin it. And then same thing, I'm going to go to the machine, about a 1/2 inch seam allowance, 3.0 stitch length, and then I'm going to back stitch. So all the way down, leave my needle down, pivot. So leave my needle down and pivot, and come back and back stitch at the top. All right, I'm going to cut my threads off. Cool, and I'm actually going to cut these corners off too, keeping away from my stitches, just to reduce the bulk there a little bit in the corner. So now what we want to do is just make sure we did it right. So we've got right sides in, and we're not going to flip this inside out. We're actually going to leave this, and we're going to set this aside with our interior fabric. And then go ahead and grab the fabric for your straps. And now for this, we're going to bring over the ironing board. Okay, so go ahead and grab your first strap. And what we're doing is we're making this part of the pouch here. So you'll notice this edge is actually sewn into the bag so you don't see it. And this edge is really nicely finished. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So we're going to fold this in half, like so. And I'm just using this on a hot setting because it's cotton with a little bit of steam. Okay, and then I'm going to fold it again in half up to this crease line that I just made. And again with the other side. Okay. Now at this point, I've got that middle crease that I made and these two side creases. And I'm just going to take this. This is kind of the directionally with the print. This is the top. So I'm just going to take this and fold it over about a ½ inch, like so. Be really careful not to burn yourself. The iron is going to be hot. And I'm just going to come through, give that a good steam. And what we're doing is we're creating that finished edge up here. So then go ahead and come back, and then I'm going to give this a nice press. Keep it where it needs to be. And then fold this in half again. So now the only unfinished edge that you're going to have is down here at the bottom. Okay, so go ahead and set that one aside, and we're going to do that again to the next one. Okay, so now we're going to take our straps and we're just going to come through here. See that there's a rough edge, a raw edge, like so, and then there's that top piece that we flipped in. So what we want to do is take this to the machine and start here on the rough edge, and we're just going to sew down, pivot, come across, and down again to the bottom. We're going to do that for both pieces. All right, now we've got this both sewn. I'm going to cut these strings off, keep our project tidy. All right, so now we have our straps. We have our exterior piece, which is still pretty sides together or right sides together. And then we have this interior piece that we flipped inside out. So now also, if you're going to put any kind of label in here, made by or whoever, this is the time to keep this out and get that ready. And to also grab your pins. So take your exterior fabric, and you're going to open it up like so. Just kind of get that ready, and then take your interior fabric, get your hands in there, and then you're just going to slide this in like so. Get your corners in the corners. So now it kind of looks like this. So what we want to do is take these side seams, line them up, and put a pin through. Come to the other side, line it up. Oops, come back here, you. And pin. So now this is where you need to decide. I can still kind of see this fabric. You need to decide what's going to be the front and what's going to be the back of your pouch. So I think I like this one better with the big fish, so this is going to be the front. So I just need to keep in mind that this is my front piece. And then I'm going to take my strap, and I have the raw, unfinished edge of my strap, and remember the finished edge, and I'm just going to fold this up a little ways because we're actually going to tuck this down in here. And if I just put it in here like this, see, it's pretty long, so I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to fold that up and make sure that I have my raw edge. And I'm going to come back here in between the back exterior and the back interior. And I'm going to slide this in. Now you guys can place these however far apart you want. Like on this one, you know, I'm about 1 inch from the side. So you guys can kind of decide, you know, how you want that, depending on, you know, what you're going to be strapping this to. You could just do one strap too. You totally don't have to do two. That's what's really cool about this project, is you can customize and decide what you're going to be snapping this to. I made this for jeans, which you'll see here. You saw in the opening credits, and you'll see again, that's how I like to wear it. I just feel like it's stable and it's not flopping around everywhere. So you guys can decide. So I can kind of take I can just kind of eyeball this here, and I know that's about 1 inch away. And I'm going to leave about a ½ inch sticking out. And then I'm going to make sure that I've got it laid down, and my interior piece is down too. And then I'm just going to put a pin through that, and that will keep it there. And then same thing, my raw edge, fold this up a little bit, come through here in between my exterior and my interior on the back, slide this in, just get it in there, and then that's about good enough for me, about 1 inch away. So get my top fabrics out of the way and sandwich these 3 layers together. All right, so, and then I'm going to put my Billette's Crafts in here. That looks good to me, just about like that. All right. Okay, cool, so it's coming together. So now on the front, there's gonna be a turning hole up here. So we're gonna take our pen and just decide, you probably want like a 2-inch turning hole. There's not much of the body here to get through, so it doesn't need to be terribly big. And then I'm gonna take a pin or two and just mark where my turning hole is, because it's really upsetting when you sew all the way around and you're like, oh crap, I sewed over my turning hole. And then so anywhere else that you feel needs to be pinned, and this looks pretty good. This is a pretty tiny project, so I think that's enough pinning. So I'm actually going to show you guys this on the sewing machine because this is so small, this isn't going to fit over like the end of the body of where your sewing machine plate is. So I'm just going to actually show you how I do this, and it'll just be in fast forward, but that way you guys kind of get an idea of how it needs to be maneuvered. So now let's cut our threads off here at our turning hole. This is such a fun and easy project. I really love that you can customize this and make gifts for people, you know, if they're into sports or ocean or whatever it is that they're into. Okay, so let's find the turning hole here. Remember, this is the little hole that we left open. And I'm just going to stick my thumb in there, like so, and then I'm just using these fingers to push up this interior fabric. This is kind of the birth of the project here. Just use your fingers. This isn't a race, so just be real gentle with it. You don't want to rip threads. And then I'm going to use my finger, the middle finger and my thumb to push out those corners. Here's our turning hole. And then I'm just going to take this and put it inside. And you can see it's starting to come together. Okay, and I'm just going to use my hands and just really do as much of this pressing and flattening if I can with just my fingers. Okay, and then I am going to give this a good press. Be careful not to iron your PUL fabric, because it will melt. You guys have seen this in other videos probably, but ironing is the key to a good project. Being tidy and good ironing. I learned that from my grandmother. Okay, and that looks pretty good. So now what I want to do here, so here's the turning hole, what I want to do is come along and I'm going to pin this closed. I'm going to pin kind of all the way around, and we're going to sew all the way around right here on the top. And what I like to do, you know, if it's for yourself or your friends, lick your fingers. If you're going to sell this, don't do any finger licking, and just maybe keep a little wet sponge or something, just because, you know, it's kind of gross. So, but this is for myself, so it's okay. So I just lick my fingers if I need to, and I kind of just work this back and forth until I've got my seam out here, because you don't want this seam to be kind of tucked in and for this to be all wonky. It will come out pretty funky. So just work that, and to keep it that way, I'm just going to pin again here right on the seam. That can get pretty big and bulky. And then right here where the label's at, this actually looks pretty good. And we'll do one right here too. Okay, so I'm going to take this to the sewing machine, and I don't want to start here where my turning hole was, because I don't want there to be this big like back stitch, you know, in the stitching. This is important if you're going to make these and sell these too. You just want it to look professional. You want it to look nice. So I'm actually going to start here, probably somewhere where the strap is, and you're just going to start your stitch, back stitch, and then go all the way around right on the top, about a 1/4 inch away from the top. So all the way around the top, and go slow when you're doing this, because you're not going to be able to fit this around you know, the body of where your plate is there on your machine, where your needle comes down. So just go really slow, you know, like you could just come in here like this, start, and then as it sews, do a little bit, stop, kind of readjust your fabric, keep your needle down, stop, readjust your fabric so that you've always got like a flat piece of your project coming in. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to start here and go all the way around, and remember to back stitch when you start and when you stop. Get my threads off. This top stitch here around the top of the pouch really gives it just a real solid finished feeling. Okay, so now you want to go through and get your pins, and you're going to need 3 complete sets. So we're going to go like so, do that one for the body. So 2 dark pink for the strap, 1 light pink for the body. However you want to do it, just make sure that you have a male and female end for each one. If you're not familiar with cam snaps, YouTube it. I don't know if I have a video just on cam snaps. I use cam snaps a lot in most of my projects, and so if you're like, man, I don't want to buy this just for this one project, I promise, if you're getting into little projects like these sewing projects, you're going to use this for a lot of stuff. So go ahead and get your hardware, put your snaps away, and then what you want to do is decide where you want your snap to be. So I'm going to put one here in the pouch. You don't have to. You can totally just keep this open. I just kind of feel like if I'm bending over or whatever, this snap just, you know, just kind of keeps everything together. So just decide where you want it on the top, and scooch these down a little bit. I'm going to go about here in the middle. It's not rocket science, just kind of eyeball it. And I'm going to poke it all the way through to the back, and be careful because this is really sharp. This thing will really... I've gotten this under my fingernail before. Let me tell you, it was not a good day. Okay, so then you can see my two holes right there that I've poked. Hopefully you can see that. I'll zoom in. And then I'm going to go to the very back, find that hole, and then it doesn't matter if you take the male or female end, just as long as you have one of them. Okay, so now I've snapped that in. Now I come here to the top, and there's my hole, and I put the body piece in, and my female end. Okay. So now it should look like this, and you should hear this. You hear that snap? It means you did it right. If you didn't do it right and you put 2 male or 2 female, oh, the universe help you, because these are really hard to get off. These are really good snaps. If you get on Amazon and you get yourself some snaps and they're too good to be true, it's like $10 for like 300 of them. They're probably really cheap and they're gonna break on you, so just pay a good price and get some good snaps. And if I think about it, I will link that down below for you guys. Okay, so this is the sound you wanna hear, the snap. And now we're gonna do our strap. This is really customizable. You can either put your snaps longer, meaning that you're gonna have more, you know, whatever you're hooking this to. I just put this on my jeans. I wear this on my jeans, and so I just do it like about here, and it's fine. But you know, if you make more than one of these, you'll kind of get an idea of what it is that you want. We're just having fun today and just making this project to get you going. But these are so fast, like even for a beginner, like really like 30 minutes, you could probably make this, get this out. And once you've made a couple of them, it just comes, you know, like no big deal. So here I am, I put this together, I made a hole, and now I just put my snap cover and my male end, and now I'm just gonna come over here and put this other one on. Okay, and you're gonna hear the sound, which means you did it right. So same thing over here. All right, there she is, all completed and done. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this project. Stick around and maybe subscribe and follow me if you want to see more easy beginner tutorials like this, and even some advanced tutorials. If you guys have any ideas of what you want me to make, please leave a comment below, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.